Human respiratory system. Respiration is a process in which complex organic compounds in the form of carbohydrates and lipids are broken down into carbon dioxide and water with the release of energy. And this energy is used by all living organisms, including human beings, for various life activities. The respiratory system is also known as respiratory apparatus or ventilatory system. It is a biological system consisting of specific organ and structures used for gaseous exchange in human. The respiratory system composed of nose and nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, alveoli, and lungs. Nose, also called external nares. It is the only externally visible part of the respiratory system and composed of bones, cartilage, and fibrofatty tissue. External feature of the nose depends upon the ethmoid bone and cartilage. Nose of the human being basically composed of two nostrils. Function of the nose: hairs are present inside the nostrils that help in filtration of the air. So when various types of air from the atmosphere enter into the nose through nostrils, so this air is filtered in which the hairs are present in the nose. So both nostrils and nasal cavities are lined by mucous membrane along with the cilia. The mucous membrane secrete a sticky substance called mucus. The mucus and cilia filter the air, prevent the entry of foreign particles or foreign body such as pathogen, dust, particulate matter, or any type of material which is present in the air inside the respiratory system. The mucus also help in moistening the air as it is composed of the mucus. Cilia push the trapped substance to the pharynx for the removal. Remember that approximately 1 cup of sputum is produced throughout the respiratory system. The vocal membranes are supplied with rich blood capillaries that help to warm the air to about 30 degrees centigrade. These are the whole function of the nose. Nasal passage through face. As we know that air enter into the respiratory system of human beings either through nose and human beings, and then to the pharynx, larynx, and to trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, and alveoli. So these are the passage of the air into the respiratory system. The second part of the respiratory system is the pharynx, and pharynx is a common part both for the respiratory as well as for the digestive system. The pharynx, commonly known as throat, originate posterior to the nasal and oral cavities and extend inferiorly near the level of bifurcation of the larynx and esophagus. It is common pathway for both air and food. Walls are lined by mucosa and contain skeletal muscle that are primarily used for swallowing. The pharynx can be divided into three parts. Nasopharynx, as the name indicates, those pharynx which is near the nasal cavity. Oropharynx, these are those part of the pharynx which is present near the oral cavity. And laryngopharynx, it is those part of the pharynx which is present near the larynx. It is also known as hypopharynx. In the diagram you clearly see the sections or parts of the pharynx. Nasopharynx, oropharynx, and laryngopharynx or hypopharynx. Function of the pharynx: first of all, it connects the respiratory system, the oral cavity or the nasal cavity, to the larynx, and it is passageway for both air and food. It have rich blood supply, so the cooled air is warmed by the pharynx, and it have mucous membrane, so it moisten or humidifying the dry air. They have olfactory nerve endings, so they perform and determine the taste of the food. Hearing: the auditory tube extending from the nasopharynx to each middle ear. Protection: the lymphatic tissue of the pharyngeal tonsil produce antibodies. And speech as a connector or sounds ascending from the larynx. Larynx, it is the third part of the respiratory system. It is also known as voice box or sound box. Is a short, somewhat cylindrical air ways extend in the trachea, prevents swallowed material from entering in the lower respiratory tract. It basically prevents the food to enter into the respiratory system or a trachea. Conduct air into the lower respiratory tract, produces sound supported by a framework of 9 pieces of cartilage, 3 individual pieces and 3 cartilage pair. These cartilage basically prevent the larynx from collapse. Two fibrous veins called vocal cords are located in the larynx. Men and women have different vocal cord sizes. The differences in size causes or differences in vocal pitch. That's why the male and female have different sounds, which can be easily determined due to the vocal cords. Adult males have larger vocal cords and usually low pitched sound. These are various types of cartilage present in the larynx portion. These are the vocal cords. These vocal cords are open, and when the vocal cords are closed, it look like this. Function: it produces the sound. That's why it is known as sound box or voice box. It help in speech process, protection of the lower respiratory tract. It also help in swallowing and prevent food to enter into the trachea. Passageway for air, or it connect the pharynx with the trachea. It have mucous membrane, so it moisten the air. Dry air is converted into moist air. It also help in filtering composed of mucus. It trap various types of particulate matter, and it have rich blood supply, so it convert cooled air into warm air. Trachea. It is another part of the respiratory system. It is also known as windpipe. Its length is 10 to 12 centimeter or 11 centimeter, and it is 2 centimeter wide. Superiorly, it is present below the larynx. Inferiorly, the right and left bronchi, and interiorly upper part of the thyroid gland, lower part of the arch and aorta, and the sternum. Posteriorly, the esophagus, and laterally the lungs are present. Each trachea is basically composed of 16 to 20 characteristic horseshoe-shaped incomplete rings. As you clearly see in the diagram, that C-shaped or horseshoe-shaped incomplete cartilaginous rings is present in the trachea. The trachea composed of fibrous and elastic tissues, smooth muscle, and ciliated columnar epithelium in 16 to 20 incomplete cartilage ring, C-shaped or horseshoe-shaped. Blood supply through bronchial artery and nerve supply through laryngeal nerve. Function of the trachea: it connects the larynx to the bronchi. It converted the cooled air into warm air. It converts dry air into humid air, and it also filters the air. Bronchi and bronchioles. The trachea bifurcated and divided into two bronchi. The right bronchus, basically it is wider and shorter and more vertical than the left bronchus, and its size is, or its length is 2.5 centimeter. After entering the right lungs, it divided into three branches, and right lungs composed of three lobes. In each branch enter into their respective lobe. The left bronchus, this is narrower than the right, and their length is 5 centimeter, and it is somewhat horizontally it is present. After entering the left lungs, it divided into two branches. As we know that left lungs have two lobes. In this diagram, you can easily see these are the right bronchi having three branches, 1, 2, and 3. And this is the left lungs having left bronchi, and it have two branches and it have two lobes. The bronchi are composed of the same tissues as the trachea, are lined with the ciliated columnar epithelium. The bronchi can divide into bronchioles. The bronchiole can be divided into various types of terminal bronchioles. Terminal bronchiole redivide into respiratory bronchioles, and respiratory bronchiole is divided into alveolar duct, and alveolar duct finally divided into alveoli, which is the structure and functional unit of the lungs where actual gaseous exchange takes place. These are in this diagram you can see the bronchi, and their branches in different color in the diagram. These are the alveoli, which is the structure and function unit of the lungs or respiratory system. It is the normal bronchiole and alveoli, and it is the infected, or we can say that it is those alveoli and bronchiole in which pneumonia is present. The function of bronchi and bronchiolate: control of air entry, warming and humidifying, support in patency, removal of particulate matter, and cough reflex. Each lobule is supplied with air by terminal bronchioles, which further subdivide into respiratory bronchioles, alveolar ducts, and large number of alveoli. And approximately 150 million alveoli is present in the adult lungs. 150 million alveoli is present where actual gaseous exchange takes place. Oxygen enter into the blood, and carbon dioxide leave the blood and enter into the alveoli. Air As airways progressively divide and become smaller and smaller, their walls gradually become thinner and shorter. These are the blood capillaries which is lined by the alveoli, in which actual gaseous exchange takes between the bloods as well as between the environment. The science of lungs is known as pulmonology, and there are two lungs which is present in the thoracic cavity, and their shape are cone-like, and their weight is 600 to 700 gram in adult human beings, and their length is 20 to 24 centimeter, and the color of the lung is pinkish. 3 lobes is present in right lungs and 2 lobes is present in the left lungs, and each lobes of the lungs are separated by fissures, and the area between the two lungs is known as mediastinum. These are basically the mediastinum in which the two lungs are separated from each other, and this area is known as a mediastinum. This is the right lungs and this is the left lungs. The left lungs composed of 2 lobes and the right lungs composed of 3 lobes. So the right lungs approximately cover 56% of the total lungs, while 44% area is covered by the left lungs. These are the non-smoker or healthy lungs, and these are the smoker or cigarette smoker lungs, right lungs. The right lung has more lobes and segment than the left. It is divided into 3 lobes: upper and superior lobe, middle lobes, lower or inferior lobe. They separate by 2 fissures. Left lung is divided into 2 lobes, upper lobes and lower lobes, and it have divided from each other or separated from each other through by oblique fissure. Human have 2 lungs, right and left, located in thoracic cavity. The right and left lungs are slightly unequal in size, as I have told that the right lungs represent 56% of the total lung volume. Each lung is surrounded by thin membranous sac called the pleura, consists of 2 tough, flexible, transparent pleural membrane, the visceral pleura, and the parietal pleura. These membranes protect the lungs, stop leaking air into the thoracic cavity, and reduce friction between the lungs and the walls of the thorax. Between the two sacs, membranous sacs, the pleural fluid is present in the pleural cavity. So it performs the protection of the lungs and stop leaking of the air into the thoracic cavity. In this diagram, you can see the membranes of the lungs, parietal pleura, visceral pleura, parietal cavity, as well as the pleural fluid, which is responsible for the protection and stopping of the leaking air into the thoracic cavity. How lungs basically work? As you know that when air enter into the lungs through a system of pipes called the bronchi, the alveoli are where the important work of gaseous exchange takes place between the air in your blood. Covering each alveolus is a whole network of little blood vessels called capillaries. It is important that the air in the alveoli and the blood in the capillaries are very close together so that oxygen and carbon dioxide can move or diffuse between them. When you breathe in, air comes down the trachea and move through the bronchi into the alveoli. This fresh air has a lot of oxygen in it, and some of this oxygen will travel across the wall of the alveoli into your blood stream. Traveling in the opposite direction is carbon dioxide, which crosses from the blood in the capillaries into the air in the alveoli and then breathe out. In this way, you bring in to your body the oxygen, and you need to lie and get rid of the waste products carbon dioxide. In this diagram, you can see the lungs, the branch of pulmonary vein and branch of pulmonary artery, bronchioles, and grapes like bunch or group of alveoli, in which the blood capillaries is present, in which the gaseous exchange takes place. Oxygen enter into the blood and carbon dioxide leave the blood. So these are the functions performed by the lungs. And if you like the video, please share, subscribe and watch.